Howdy, it's Annie. It's been fun experimenting with uploading different types of videos and fulfilling requests, but I think that it's time to go back to our roots, my real bread and butter on YouTube, and that is hating on people on the internet. Today's group of people are what I like to call clickbait news reporters. Now, these aren't actual, news reporters from places like CNN, BBC, The Guardian, Al Jazeera, what have you. Because although these news sites have their flaws, some more than others, they have actual integrity. Or at least, if they were to make a claim that is completely false, you would be able to sue them. An example of this is Fox News having to pay $787.5 million to settle a defamation lawsuit, if I remember correctly. It was over $500 million. And although they might have these clickbaity titles, because how else are you supposed to get people's attention nowadays? Once you actually click on the news article or the video, whatever, they explain what's going on. They're not just gonna say, Russia invades Ukraine, and then not tell you anything else. They're actually gonna add context to it. They're going to say, oh, this conflict comes from here. It started in this date. It's been going on for this long, what have you. So they're going to tell you what's going on. Can the information on their sites be biased? Yes, because everyone has biases. And the news is written by people. People have their own personal biases. I'm not going to get into the actual news sites, but for the most part, they remain fairly objective, especially sites like Al Jazeera, etc. They remain pretty objective. What today's video is about is not them. What I want to talk about is the people that like to sit at home. They like to sit at home, open their browser, look up relevant news for today, especially, there are people that are known for talking about the LGBTQ plus community. Therefore, they're going to be looking up LGBTQ plus news, whatever. So they look up current news on whatever topic they are known for talking about. And then they start reading the headlines. And then instead of actually clicking on the article that the headline is for, they decide to make up what the article is actually about. And then instead of keeping this misconstrued worldview to themselves, they decide to whip out their phones, press record, and record themselves bringing this news to you. And they post that on whatever platform they have an audience in. Of course, this information still being false or made overly dramatic, because not only do they have to misinform people, they also have to go on and make up this entire show. They're crying, they're sobbing, they're yelling, they're completely distraught because of this horrible thing that has happened. Even though, of course, most of the time it's completely blown out of proportion. So, what they're inherently doing is fear-mongering and misleading their audience, making their audience think that some great big issue is going on, when in reality, that's not the case, and they're completely misinformed. But then these viewers go on to spread this misinformation, and the cycle continues. And then the thing is, one thing is being misinformed. But once you have a large group of people that are misinformed and they're spreading this lie amongst each other, it's very hard to convince them otherwise. You can draw an example within psychology in which you have a group of people that can say that, oh, this line is shorter than the other. Well, in reality, it's quite the opposite. But if enough people start saying this, you're eventually going to start doubting yourself and your own point of view, and you're going to start believing what they're saying, even though it's completely false. So they're going to be very loud and they're going to be very wrong, but you won't be able to tell them otherwise. An example would be that you can't convince people that are currently hating on Dylan Mulvaney that she hasn't done a commercial or has ever had like some type of collaboration with Tampax. Which, for the record, that has never happened. Has Dylan Mulvaney bought tampons to have in her bag for whenever someone asks her for one? Yes. Does that mean that she is being sponsored by whatever company her tampons are from? No. An example of this is my toothpaste that I'm using right now is from Colgate. I buy Colgate. Am I now sponsored by them? I don't think so. If I were sponsored by Colgate, I would have much more money in my bank account. But currently, I only have 153 Swedish kroner. If you actually did your research, you would know this. But you get all of your information from some rando on the internet, and everyone is already saying it. So, of course it has to be true. Because some rando, they told me that was what was happening. So if the rando said so and everyone else is saying so, then it must be true. Here's a pro tip. If you ever hear something that creates a lot of outrage on the internet, you should definitely do your own research on it. Most of the time, you'll realize that it's either been blown out of proportion completely or that it is 100% false. Especially if you realize that whatever information is being put out has this very political undertone to it. Because most of the time, people are twisting the truth or making up lies just to fit their political narrative or just to further make their political agenda seem like it's relevant. Me, personally, and I hope that you as a viewer, I think that it is disgusting and manipulative to take advantage of your audience and paint a world image for them that is completely based on lies and then not be able to be held accountable. Because most of the time, these people aren't putting their actual names or even their faces on there, except the people that are out there crying. They're putting their faces on there, but they're not putting their actual names on there. So if they were to spread misinformation, what are you going to do? Are you going to sue them? You can't. You can try, but it's going to be very hard. Because at the end of the day, they're just some random person with a platform. I think that it is disgusting that these people are scaring others, mainly teens, kids, and young adults, with the information that they're spreading. I've seen people that think that it's going to be the end of the world, that they're going to die tomorrow, I don't know, because of this fake news that is being spread. An example of this is this current narrative that a lot of people are running with, saying that the UN wants to legalize pedophilia. Now, this claim is completely whack. And because it is whack and seems unreal, I thought that it would be very wise to look it up myself. So I found the paper that they're referencing. I'll link the paper where the claim comes from down below. But the paper talks about, amongst other things, it talks about HIV, drug use, homelessness, etc. It talks about the minimum age of consent and how it should be reasonable, and there should be room for context within each and every case, because every case isn't the same. An example of this is, let's say that two 17-year-old Americans decide to do the devil's tango. What the UN proposes is that maybe, just maybe, these two 17-year-olds decided to do the horizontal shuffle consensually, and that they consented to what they were doing. So that's what the UN is proposing. They want criminal law to not be discriminatory, which is what the entire paper is basically about. Now, you can have whatever opinion you want on this point that the UN is making. I'm currently not debating this, but I think that you can see why I have an issue with these types of people. They jumped from the UN saying, hey, let's have some context here, and let's work from this context. And they're saying, oh, the UN wants to legalize pedophilia. They want an open season on the daycares so that the 50-year-olds can just go and do whatever they want with the kiddies. That's not true. You're misleading people, and you're making people think that the UN, the organization that basically wanted to instate these international human rights, that the organization that proposed rights for children, you're saying that they would ever suggest to have any type of change in legislation that would lead to the harm of children. You see the jump that they made? It's completely whack. I genuinely don't have any words for what I feel when I see this type of information being spread, especially about stuff like this. I think it's disgusting. But I've said that before, but still. Disgust. That's what I feel. The day that people start using that big, juicy 3-pound organ that they have way up in their noggin, also known as a brain, stop misinforming people just for views, and stop making stuff up just to fit their political agendas, is the day that I will rest. But I guess I'll just have insomnia until then. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I post weekly, so make sure to press that bell notification button if you want to be kept up to date with my uploads. But that's all for today, folks. Stay safe and don't be a stranger. Peace!